Hey everyone, welcome into our latest Trade to Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and today we're talking about something that could finally bring the cannabis industry into the financial mainstream. We're talking about marijuana banking reform, and it might finally be on the horizon. And I know we've heard this time and time again. Here's why it might be different this time. It's tied to a massive federal budget bill that's got Congress in a chokehold. So is the long-awaited Safer Banking Act finally coming this fall? And here's what I all mean by that, so let's break it down. So on that note, let's first start with the basics. For those that don't know, the Safer Banking Act, formerly known as the Safe Banking Act, is a piece of legislation designed to give legal cannabis businesses access to traditional banking services. Right now, because cannabis is still federally illegal, most banks won't touch the industry. That means dispensaries and growers are often forced to operate in cash, making them targets for theft, fraud, and financial instability. The Safer Banking Act would change that by protecting banks and credit unions that work with state legal cannabis businesses from federal penalties. So this isn't just about convenience, it's about safety, transparency, and economic growth. If passed, the Safer Banking Act would allow cannabis businesses to open checking accounts and get loans. It'd reduce the risk of violent robberies tied to cash-heavy operations, and it'd make it easier for regulators to track transactions and enforce compliance. It would even open the door to broader financial services like insurance and payroll processing. In short, it would legitimize the cannabis industry in the eyes of Wall Street, and that is a big deal. Now, further to that, here's where things get even more interesting. Congress has previously said that marijuana banking reform would come after the passage of President Trump's massive budget package, the One Big Beautiful Bill. Well, guess what? The bill just cleared the Senate in a dramatic 51-50 vote, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tiebreaker. It's now heading back to the House, and Speaker Mike Johnson says he's ready to get it on Trump's desk by July 4th. That means the path is now clear for Congress to take up the Safer Banking Act this fall. No more excuses, no more delays. And despite the delay, there has been growing momentum behind the Safer Act. It includes Senator Bernie Moreno, a Republican from Ohio, and one of the bill's lead sponsors says the fall is the best shot for Congress to get this done. And industry leaders agree. David Culver from the U.S. Cannabis Roundtable told MJ Biz Daily, quote, "It's about the best opportunity we've ever had," end quote. Even President Trump has reportedly voiced support for cannabis banking reform behind the scenes, urging lawmakers to get this passed before the midterms election. So now let's talk about numbers. According to the Congressional Budget Office, passing the Safer Banking Act could lead to billions of dollars in new bank deposits from cannabis businesses over the next decade. That means more capital flowing through the economy, more tax revenue, and more stability for an industry that's been flying blind for years. It also means cannabis workers could finally qualify for things like mortgages, small business loans, and even VA benefits, just like everyone else. But don't pop the champagne just yet. The Safer Banking Act has passed the House multiple times, but it's always stalled in the Senate. And with Republicans now controlling both chambers, the path forward is still murky in some ways. Some GOP lawmakers are pushing back, saying the bill doesn't have enough support, while others are demanding changes to the broader budget package before they'll even consider cannabis reform. But let's not forget midterms are on the horizon, and a lot of these senators are going to be up for re-election. And with approval rate of over 70%, keep in mind this is going to be on their radar in the back half of 2025. So what happens now? Congress is aiming to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill by July 4th. If that happens, lawmakers say they'll turn their attention to cannabis banking in the fall. If it doesn't, well, we could be looking at another year or more of waiting, and that's not what we want to hear if you're following the cannabis industry. But here's the silver lining. The conversation is happening, the industry is mobilized, and the pressure is mounting. So what do you think? Does the Big Beautiful Bill get passed here in July 2025, which would then segue to the conversation center stage of cannabis reform, or do you think it doesn't get passed and this gets pushed further on down the road? One thing's for sure, the stakes are going to be high here over the next week, not only for the U.S. economy, but really for cannabis reform as well, as we go towards the back end of Q3, heading into Q4 this fall. If safe banking were to pass, and like we've been saying here at Trade to Black for quite some time, it would open up so many doors for the cannabis industry and really take this industry mainstream. So with that, what do you think happens next? If this Big Beautiful Bill passes, does cannabis reform finally get its day in the light? Let us know by leaving your comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. As usual, like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications. Let's spread the word. Share this video with your network. We'd appreciate it here at the TDR Trade to Black podcast. That's it for today. And like I always say, stay open-minded, stay connected, and I'll see you next time in our latest Trade to Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for watching.